A billionaire built an empire, loved his family, and gave them everything: houses, cars, a legacy. But when Alzheimer struck, he saw their true colors. His wife and children turned their backs, fighting over his fortune while he faded. Only one daughter stayed, her love pulling him back from the edge. Who would you stand by when the world turns away? What does loyalty mean when money's on the line? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to find out how one daughter's heart changed everything in this incredible story. High above Manhattan, in a sleek penthouse office, James Harper sat alone, his hands trembling as he held a pen. The 50-year-old billionaire who'd built Harper Enterprises from nothing stared at a contract, his mind blank. He'd forgotten the name of his oldest client. Again, his heart sank, a cold fear creeping in. He pressed the intercom, voice shaky. "Lisa, get Dr. Carter up here." Now, the doctor arrived, his face grim after a quiet exam. "James, it's Alzheimer's. Early stage, but it'll progress fast. You may lose yourself in months." James's eyes darkened, his jaw tight. He'd faced boardrooms and bankruptcies, but this was different. He called his trusted lawyer, Michael, to the office. The city skyline glittered outside, but James's world felt small, fragile. "Michael," he whispered, "I need to know who in my family loves me, not my money. If I'm fading, who'll stay by my side?" Michael leaned forward, brow furrowed. "What's the plan, sir?" James's voice steadied, fierce. "Hide half my assets. Secret account. Then tell my family about the diagnosis. I want to see their hearts." Michael nodded slowly. "Smart move. I'll set it up." Dr. Carter adjusted his glasses. "Who'll hold my hand when I can't remember their names?" In the grand living room of the Harper Mansion in Upper East Side, James Harper sat in his leather armchair, his hands trembling as he clutched a glass of water. His wife, Margaret, stood by the marble fireplace, adjusting her pearl necklace. Their children, Ethan, Liam, Sophia, and Emma, gathered on the plush velvet sofas, their faces a mix of curiosity and unease. James's voice quivered as he spoke, his eyes darting, confused. "Margaret," touching his arm gently. "It's okay, Dad. I'm here." The door opened, and Dr. Carter stepped in, his expression heavy. He cleared his throat, facing the family. "I've run the tests. Dad, you can't leave us." She threw her arms around him, sobbing into his shoulder. Margaret pressed a hand to her chest, her face frozen, but her eyes flickered with something unreadable. Ethan, his gaze distant, watched them all, his heart heavy but sharp, catching every glance, every pause. Margaret stepped forward, her voice soft but strained. "What do we do now, doctor?" Carter adjusted his glasses. "Keep him comfortable. Familiar routines might help slow the decline." Emma clung tighter to her father, whispering, "I won't let you forget me, Dad." Ethan stood abruptly, pacing. "We need to talk business. The company can't wait." Sophia nodded, her eyes cold. "Yeah, we got a plan ahead." Liam said nothing, his hands fidgeting. James's fingers tightened on the armrest, his voice barely a whisper. "My family, my legacy." Emma looked up, tears streaming, and squeezed his hand. "I'm right here, Dad. Always." The room fell quiet, the weight of the diagnosis hanging like a storm cloud, each face hiding a truth yet to unfold. The Harper Mansion in Upper East Side stood silent, its chandeliers casting soft light on polished floors. 2 weeks had passed since James's diagnosis, and he lay in his king-size bed, his hands trembling as he fumbled with a photo album. His voice wavered, confused. "Emma, is this you in the picture?" Emma, sitting beside him, smiled gently, her eyes misty. "Yes, Dad. That's me at my graduation." She turned the page, pointing to a photo of James laughing at a company picnic. "Remember this? You tossed me in the pool that day." James's eyes flickered with a faint spark, but he shook his head, lost. Downstairs, Margaret sipped wine in the dining room, her face tight. "I can't keep watching him fade," she told Sophia, who scrolled through her phone, barely listening. "It's too much." Sophia shrugged, slouched on a couch, muttered, I'm heading to Vegas tomorrow. Need a break. Emma, upstairs, tucked a blanket around James, her hand steady but her heart breaking. She read from his favorite book, The Old Man and the Sea, her voice soft, pausing when James's eyes drifted shut. She whispered, "You'll always be my hero, Dad." Margaret appeared at the door, her heels clicking. "Emma, I'm going to a spa. Don't wait up." Emma's jaw tightened, but she nodded, turning back to James. By the third day, Margaret stopped visiting James's room entirely, complaining to a friend over the phone. It's like living with a ghost. Ethan skipped family dinners, buried in board meetings, his voice booming over calls about taking charge. Sophia spent thousands on new dresses, posting selfies from Fifth Avenue boutiques. Liam packed for Vegas, tossing a credit card on the counter. Dad won't notice, he smirked. Emma, alone with James, wiped his forehead as he shivered, his voice weak. "Where's Margaret?" Emma's throat tightened, but she forced a smile. "She's just busy, Dad. I'm here." She sang Amazing Grace, her voice trembling, as James's hand squeezed hers faintly. One evening, Emma overheard Ethan on the phone in the study. "Dad's done. I'm restructuring the company tomorrow." Her eyes stung as she clutched James's photo album, whispering, "They're forgetting you already." James, lying still, heard every word through the cracked door, his heart heavy, his mind sharper than they knew. Emma kissed his forehead, her tears falling. "I'll never leave you, Dad. Never." The mansion grew quieter, the family's absence louder than their words, as Emma's love held James in a world slipping away. The Harper Mansion's marble halls echoed with tension, the air thick with unspoken greed. James Harper lay in his bedroom, his hands trembling as he clutched a worn business card, his eyes distant. "Emma," he mumbled, voice frail. "Who's Michael?" Emma, perched on the bed's edge, gently took the card, her heart aching. "That's your lawyer, Dad. You've known him for years." She smoothed his hair, humming softly to calm his shaking. Downstairs, Ethan stormed into the study, slamming a stack of papers on the desk. "I'm CEO now," he barked to a nervous assistant on speakerphone. "Fire Helen and the old crew. They're slowing us down." Helen, a loyal employee of 25 years, had helped James build Harper Enterprises. Ethan hung up, grinning, and poured a whiskey, muttering, "Time for a new era." Sophia, lounging in the living room, swiped through her phone, charging a $10,000 handbag to the company account. Signing papers to sell Harper's prized beachfront hotel. "Cash it quick," he whispered, glancing over his shoulder. Dad's got no time left. Back at the mansion, Emma sat by James, feeding him soup, her hand steady despite her trembling voice. "Remember when we built that sandcastle in Miami, Dad?" James's eyes flickered, a faint smile breaking through. "Big castle," he murmured. Emma's tears fell silently as she wiped his chin. In the kitchen, Margaret sipped coffee, her phone buzzing with texts from Spa. Emma approached, her voice pleading. "Mom." Emma's face flushed, but she bit her lip, turning away. That night, James, lying awake, heard Sophia's voice through the open door, sharp and cold on a call. "Dad's done. Sell the Hamptons house. We need liquid cash." Ethan laughed nearby, adding, "I'm throwing a launch party for my new division. Dad's money's gotta work." James's fingers tightened on the bedsheet, his heart pounding. Not from illness, but from betrayal. Emma, unaware, sat by his side, reading old company reports to jog his memory, her voice soft. "You built this, Dad. You're unstoppable." As she tucked him in, James whispered, "Emma, thank you." His eyes, sharp for a moment, caught hers, hiding a pain deeper than Alzheimer's. The mansion's lights dimmed, but the storm of greed grew louder. James Harper lay in his bedroom, his hands trembling as he fumbled with a silver watch, his eyes clouded with confusion. "Emma, whose watch is this?" he murmured, voice frail. Emma, sitting by his bedside, gently took his hand, her smile soft but strained. "It's yours, Dad. You wore it when you signed the big deal in '98. Her voice wavered as she tucked a blanket around him, her heart heavy. Downstairs, Margaret slipped on diamond earrings, her phone lighting up with a text from Ryan, a gym trainer half her age. She smiled slyly, typing back, "Meet me tonight." In the living room, Sophia scrolled through Instagram, ignoring Emma's plea to visit their father. "I'm busy, Em," she snapped, tossing her hair. Ethan barked orders over the phone about company layoffs, while Liam packed for Vegas, smirking, "Dad won't miss me." That evening, Margaret strutted into the mansion with Ryan, his leather jacket slung over one shoulder. She clapped her hands, her voice sharp. "Everyone, meet Ryan, our new house manager." Sophia looked up, raising an eyebrow. "What? We already have staff." She crept toward the garage later that night, hearing giggles. Pushing the door open, she froze. Margaret sat on Ryan's lap, their lips close, her blouse half unbuttoned. "Mom!" Emma's voice cracked, her eyes blazing. "How could you?" "Dad's upstairs, losing himself." Margaret jumped up, smoothing her hair, her face cold. "Don't judge me, Emma. I'm lonely. Your father's not a man anymore. Just a shell." Ryan stammered, grabbing his jacket. I didn't mean." Emma cut him off, her voice shaking with fury. "Get out, now." Ryan scrambled, tripping over a toolbox as he fled, his boots echoing on the pavement. Emma turned to Margaret, tears streaming. "Dad gave you everything, his love, his life, and you betray him like this." Margaret's eyes narrowed, her voice icy, her sobs muffled as she sank beside his bed. James, awake, heard the commotion through the cracked door, his heart aching, not from Alzheimer's but from the sting of betrayal. Emma whispered, "I'll never leave you, Dad," her hand clutching his. The mansion's silence grew heavier, the cracks in the family widening, as Emma's love stood firm against the storm brewing around them. The Texas sun dipped low, painting the Austin horizon in hues of orange and gold. James Harper, frail and unsteady, stepped out of a dusty SUV, leaning on Emma's arm as they arrived at the family's old ranch. His eyes, clouded with confusion, scanned the sprawling fields, a flicker of recognition passing through. Emma, her face worn but determined, guided him to a wooden porch, whispering, "We're home, Dad." Her voice trembled with hope. Inside, the air smelled of cedar and warm bread. James's brother, Tom, and cousin Jane rushed forward, their faces lighting up. "James, you're back," Tom said, gripping his hand. Jane set a basket of peaches on the table, her voice soft. "We've missed you, cousin." Neighbors trickled in, carrying homemade pies and jars of honey, their voices a chorus of concern. "We heard you're unwell," Mr. Harper, an old farmer said, tipping his hat. "We're praying for you." Emma's eyes welled up, touched by their warmth. She settled James in a rocking chair, wrapping a quilt around his shoulders. His hand shook as he mumbled, "Where am I?" Emma knelt beside him, her voice steady. "This is home, Dad, where you grew up." She pulled out an old photo of James riding a horse, pointing. "That's you right there." His lips twitched, almost a smile. Dr. Lewis, a local physician with a weathered face, arrived at dusk, his bag heavy with tools. He sat across from James, studying his eyes. "Let's talk alone, Emma," he said gently. Emma hesitated, then stepped outside, pacing the courtyard, her heart pounding. Inside, Lewis leaned close. "Your daughter's keeping you grounded, James. Keep talking with her. It might slow the fog." James nodded faintly, his voice weak. "Emma, she's my light." Emma returned, sitting cross-legged by his chair, and began singing a Texas folk song, deep in the heart of Texas. Her voice cracked, but she pushed through, watching James's fingers tap faintly to the rhythm. Tom brought a tray of sweet tea, his voice gruff. "You raised a good one, James." Jane nodded, wiping a tear. "She's got your heart." The neighbors gathered outside, lighting a bonfire, their laughter and prayers drifting through the night. Emma held James's hand, her eyes shining. "You're not alone, Dad. Never." James's gaze cleared for a moment, locking onto hers. "Emma, thank you, my girl." The stars blinked above, and for the first time in weeks, James's mind felt a flicker of clarity, sparked by the love surrounding him. Emma tucked the quilt tighter, her whispers fierce. "I'll fight for you, Dad. Always." The ranch hummed with life, a stark contrast to the cold mansion, as Emma's devotion anchored James in a world slipping away. The Harper Mansion in Upper East Side simmered with discord, its polished facade hiding a family unraveling. James Harper, still in Texas with Emma, clutched a faded photo of his children, his voice faint. "Emma, where's Ethan?" Emma squeezed his hand, her smile soft but strained. "He's at the company, Dad. Don't worry." Back in New York, the living room buzzed with tension. Ethan paced, his tie loose, shouting into his phone. "Sell the Hamptons' house. We need cash now." Sophia, lounging on a velvet sofa, snapped. "That's my summer place, Ethan. You can't." Her voice rose, sharp and indignant. Liam stormed in, his face flushed from a call about the Miami hotel he'd sold. "You want to talk, Sophia?" Emma touched his shoulder, her voice fierce. "I'm here, Dad. That's all that matters." Back in New York, the family sat in stunned silence, their greed exposed, unaware that James, far away, was piecing together their betrayal, his heart breaking but his resolve hardening. The mansion's walls seemed to close in, the air thick with unspoken truths. Emma held his arm, her eyes bright with cautious hope, whispering, "You're doing great, Dad." James's gaze, clearer now, flickered with resolve as he clutched her hand. The Upper East Side mansion loomed ahead, its iron gates gleaming under city lights. Inside, the air was thick, the family unaware of the storm about to break. Ethan lounged in the study, sipping bourbon, papers strewn across the desk. "The company's mine now," he muttered, signing off on another risky deal. Sophia scrolled through her phone in the living room, snapping selfies, while Liam sprawled on a couch, texting about a new yacht. Margaret adjusted her earrings, preparing for a gala, her laugh sharp as she spoke on the phone. "James is fading fast. I'm free." The front door creaked open, and James stepped in, his posture tall, his eyes sharp, no trace of the frail man they'd left behind. Emma stood beside him, her face glowing with pride. Ethan froze, the bourbon glass slipping from his hand, shattering on the hardwood. "Dad," he stammered, his voice cracking. Sophia's phone clattered to the floor, her mouth agape. "You're walking?" Liam bolted upright, his eyes wide, muttering, "This can't be real." Margaret rushed in, her heels skidding to a stop, her hand clutching the wall. "James? You're fine." Her voice trembled, her face pale as a ghost. James's voice boomed, steady and commanding. "Good evening, family." He walked to the center of the room, his gaze piercing each of them, lingering on Margaret's trembling hands. Emma stood tall, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "Welcome home, Dad," she said softly, her smile warm but fierce. The room fell silent, the weight of James's presence crushing their confidence. Upstairs, in his private study, James locked the door and pulled a small tablet from a hidden drawer. His fingers, no longer shaking, tapped the screen, revealing footage from hidden cameras. He watched Ethan's late-night calls, barking orders to sell assets. Sophia's shopping sprees flashed across the screen, her laughter cold. Liam's secretive hotel deal played out, his smirk unmistakable. Margaret's whispers with Ryan in the garage burned into James's eyes, his jaw tightening. He leaned back, his breath heavy, not from sickness but from the ache of betrayal. Emma knocked softly, her voice muffled. "Dad, you okay?" James shut the tablet, his voice low. "I'm ready, Emma." He stood, his shoulders squared, his mind clear as steel. The mansion's silence roared with tension, the family downstairs frozen, sensing the reckoning looming. James's steps echoed as he prepared to face them, his heart heavy but his purpose unwavering. Emma's loved the anchor that brought him back. The Harper Mansion's grand living room crackled with tension, its chandeliers casting sharp shadows. James Harper stood at the room's center, his posture commanding, his eyes burning with a clarity that silenced the family. Emma stood beside him, her face steady, her hand lightly touching his arm. Ethan sat rigid, his knuckles white. Sophia clutched her phone, her lips trembling. Liam slouched, avoiding James's gaze. Margaret stood by the fireplace, her hands twisting, her face pale. James's voice cut through the air, deep and unyielding. I called you here to face the truth. He paused, his eyes sweeping over them. I know everything. Ethan shifted, his voice shaky. Dad, what are you talking about? James raised a hand, silencing him. I saw it all. The cameras don't lie. He pointed to the ceiling, where hidden lenses had recorded their every move. Sophia gasped, her phone slipping. Liam's jaw dropped, his voice hoarse. Cameras? James's gaze locked on Ethan. You, Ethan, gutted my company. Fired loyal workers like Helen, who built Harper Enterprises with me. You threw parties, bled my accounts dry. Ethan's face flushed, his head dropping. Dad, I was saving it. James cut him off, turning to Liam. And you, Liam, sold my Miami hotel, my pride. Like it was nothing. You cashed out, thinking I was gone. Liam stammered. I needed the money. James's voice rose sharp. You needed my legacy. He faced Sophia, his eyes cold. Sophia, you spent my fortune on bags and dresses, laughing while I lay dying. You wanted my Hamptons house sold for your parties. Sophia sobbed, her hands covering her face. I'm sorry, Dad. James turned to Margaret, his voice low, laced with pain. And you, Margaret, my wife. You brought that boy, Ryan, into my home. Betrayed me while I fought to remember your name. Margaret collapsed into a chair, wailing, James, please, I was lonely. James's face hardened. You have 24 hours to leave this house. You're no wife of mine. Margaret's cries echoed. Emma's eyes welled, her voice a whisper. I love you, Dad. James faced Michael, the lawyer, who stood by the door, folder in hand. Michael, all my assets, my estates, businesses, everything, go to Emma. She's CEO of Harper Enterprises, effective now. Ethan leapt up, his voice cracking. No. Liam fell to his knees, pleading, give me a chance. Sophia wailed, please. Dad. James raised a hand, his voice final. You've made your choices. Ethan, Liam, find jobs elsewhere. Sophia, earn my trust back with actions, not tears. He nodded to Michael. Call back my loyal workers. Their jobs wait. The room fell silent. The family's world shattered, as Emma stood tall, her father's legacy now hers to carry. 2 years later, the Harper Enterprises tower gleamed in Manhattan's skyline, its new Chicago and Los Angeles branches bustling with life. Emma Harper, now CEO, stood at a boardroom podium, her voice steady as she unveiled a record-breaking profit report. The room erupted in applause, veteran employees like Helen beaming, calling her Miss Emma. Downstairs, a wall of awards sparkled. Young Entrepreneur of the Year among them. Emma, in a tailored suit, walked the halls, her smile warm but fierce, a reflection of the father who built it all. In his corner office, James Harper sat, his eyes clear, his hands steady, watching Emma through the glass. He leaned back, a photo of Emma's college graduation on his desk, his heart swelling. You did it, my girl, he whispered. Emma stepped in, her voice soft. Dad, we're opening a charity foundation next month. For Alzheimer's research. In your name. James's eyes misted, his hand finding hers. You're my strength, Emma. She knelt beside him, her voice breaking. In your mind. Outside, the city hummed, unaware of the family's fractured past. Ethan worked a desk job in Brooklyn, his arrogance softened by time. Emma smiled, tears glinting. Love's stronger than anything, Dad. The stars above mirrored the peace they'd found, a bond unbroken by betrayal. True loyalty shines when the world turns dark. Your support keeps these stories alive.